Welcome, David Mullen, to our fabulous conversation about Étoile, and welcome to the Dream Team. So, David, how did you first team up with Dan and Amy?
I interviewed for the pilot for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel back in the summer of 2016, and then we shot the pilot in the fall.
How did that interview go?
It went terrible.
Yes.
Terrible, obviously.
Clearly.
I blew it, but no one else was available, so no. It went well, I guess. I actually interviewed with you guys the year before for the Gilmore Girls Netflix thing, but that was a phone interview, and the Maisel was an in-person interview. So I guess I do much better.
Physical presence
in person
is really powerful and necessary.
Yeah, he just sat down, he put a gun on the table, and then just sort of sat there. We went, all right, we get it.
We actually had two people that we really trust in this business. There aren't many, and we had two that had known David or had worked with David that just gave him such a high recommendation and was saying, like, you guys are gonna like this guy. You guys are gonna like.
They just kept saying
there was a person.
He's your people.
Yeah,
and they were right.
And they were correct.
So, what makes him your person? What's the magic of David Mullen?
David Mullen is a genius, and we didn't go to NYU. We are writers who became directors so that we could protect our scripts, basically. So a lot of it's a lot of like, here's what's in my head, and here's what I want to accomplish, and to have somebody be able to go along on that ride and then take what is in your head, understand what it is you're talking about, and then blow it up into this majestic piece that is so much better than you even thought it could be. Like, that's very rare. It's a true collaboration of love, and he is so he knows everything, by the way, which can be annoying for some people, because like there's nothing he doesn't know. And my favorite story to tell about David Mullen is I once asked him, do you think this, and this was during the pilot, so we were just kind of getting to know each other and how we worked. And I said, do you think that this shot is a Steadicam or a dolly? And I've kept the email. It's a 5-page dissertation on the evolution of Steadicam, who invented it, pictures of it on a warship, the initial, that it was the military. And at the end of it, I clearly had to write back, okay, but is this a Steadicam or a dolly? Because he knows so much. There's so much information. And I just think, like, I'm happy, like, walk around and have people go, you're an amazing director. But I got to tell you, like, David Mullen was my film school, and he is just like, there's nothing that he feels what you feel so deeply. He knows how much you want to do something, and he doesn't like women like he hates his wife, which is a big deal with DPs, because a lot of them, I think, hate their wives, and then they come to a set and they look at the lead woman, and they're like, this is the revenge that I can take. And you're like, what happened there? Like, he lights the women so beautifully, and he's so actor conscious, and he's so gentle, and yet so, like, you think he's not a dictator, and yet he totally is, and it just takes you a while to realize it. Like, I love him so much. I don't know what else to say.
I take passive aggressiveness to
but
new
I love
levels.
you for it. I love you for it, because he can take things that I think, like, this is way too ambitious, we're never going to be able to get this, and then he'll add an extra layer of ambition onto it, and I'm like, all right, let's go. It's fun.
All the years of Maisel and this year of Étoile, there's nothing that Amy and I look back on and think, we could have done that, but we weren't able to do it. Like, we kind of realized everything the way we saw it in our heads because of David and some other key members of the crew. So we were really lucky to gather all these guys together, especially David.
David takes these unbelievable, beautiful photographs, because he'll wander off in the middle of the night, much to my terror, and he'll photograph, just because that those sort of beautiful, unbelievable pictures that he takes, like he takes that, and that is the film that you get, and it's just, his eye is amazing, and I just wish he wouldn't wander off in the middle of the night with a camera alone. I want to have some muscle with him, because I can't lose him. He must remain alive for me. But he's an artist in the purest form, and it's not about ego. It's about what the work is and what the world is and what we can make it. And that's just a journey it's just a delight every day to come to work when you're dealing with that sort of energy.
David, what special challenges did Étoile set up for you? What did you have to accomplish for Étoile that tested your skills?
Well, I think the challenge is that it wasn't an obvious approach to it. When we did Maisel, it's a period film, so you get all these elements you can draw from period movies to period photography to just the amazing architecture and fashion of the late 50s in America. It's like a wealth of information that you can sort of pull on and build a look around. When you do a modern story, it's often what you do with modern settings is filter out all the stuff you don't like about the modern world. Like you don't like the color of these stop signs or these billboards, or you do like them. It's just, it's much more difficult to pin down in a modern setting what you want to do and don't do. So I think in this kind of theatrical setting of dance, it was always a question to me, and in our early discussions, was how much of a documentary approach do we take to the kind of lives of dancers and the behind the scenes world, and how much do we take the theatrical approach to the world of theater and music and the musical aspects. And there's no easy answer there. I think we kept trying to, at one point lean more towards the realism of it, the sort of pain and effort these dancers go through, but also lean away from the reality that, when you go behind the scenes at the Lincoln Center, it's nothing but cinder block corridors and fluorescent tubes. I mean, that's
gorgeous, stunning.
The real Lincoln Center backstage is white cinder block hallways, basically. And it's very brutalist in a way, but that's not, the reality we wanted to embrace. Paris was a lot easier. Paris is just gorgeous. It's everywhere you go. So inside and outside. Our basic thing that sort of evolved was that Paris has this kind of old world reality to it. So New York has got to be perceived as modernist visually just to have a contrast. You don't know what city you're in just by the shapes and the forms and the colors that you get in both cities. And at first I was trying to go for, Paris is inherently warm. It's all sandstone and golds and gold, painted things. And so I wanted to play New York the opposite, which is sort of blues and greens. But I think Amy and Dan wanted a certain warmth to the New York stuff too. So, Bill Groom designed the office with red carpeting and wood panels, and everything was warm in that office. So I couldn't do a warm-cold contrast the way I did with the Maisel episode we set in Paris 5-6 years ago, where I kind of went for a wintry New York look versus a kind of golden Paris look. So it sort of became more of a old world, new world look. There's a kind of modern art feeling to New York, in terms of the shapes and the walls and the furniture and stuff like that. More pop art in a way. And Paris has got a patina of paintings of 18th, 19th century paintings and stuff.
Amy and Dan, I love how you always, each season, meant to set up a new challenge for David. Go like, hey, we're going to shoot it like this. Go invent a camera. Was there a specific episode or moment like that this season or on this show?
Yeah. I mean, I've been bugging David and Jim McConkey, our steady camera whiz. I keep saying, "Where's my dancy cam?" Because like when I did,
exactly.
when I did the telephone operator thing in Maisel, where we went down and she was working in the phone room. The McConkeys invented this. Yeah, the switchboard. They invented this thing that I call the McConkey Wonder Stick. thank you for the branding. And it's like a tube, and there was duct tape, and they hung a camera, and then something was on this side, and I don't know what the hell it was, but they MacGyvered this thing that was so great, and it became, and then they kept sort of perfecting it. And I kept saying, I want something that allows me the max amount of dance flexibility. So where's my dancey cam? And they're still working on it, but they did come up with, I don't know, it's a version of the Wonder Stick when we did the one shot in the pilot of the girl doing her flettes, and I wanted to start with her feet, and I wanted to go up, and I wanted to go over her, and I wanted to come around to the back and sort of end behind her. And that there was some duct tape involved in that. There was there was a pipey duct tape thing.
The problem is to really fly something around, it has to be a smaller, lighter camera. And so lately some shows have been doing stuff with these sort of smaller prosumer kind of cameras, like Adolescents. We were, the DJI Ronin, I think that's called the 4, something we used for the traffic jam sequence in Maisel. They stripped down their Wonder Stick into a smaller Sony camera with a lighter boom pole. But the trouble is the camera, we do a lot of visual effects work to our stuff in post. That camera is fine if there's going to be 0 visual effects done to the shot. But if we have to do extra work, our visual effects supervisor doesn't want us to use the cheaper, smaller, lighter cameras. We have to use our regular, heavier Alexa camera. That's been our one limitation, is kind of work, is dealing with just mass and weight. And, Amy is always pushing, what I call basic Newton physics, right? That
she doesn't accept the laws of gravity.
Enjoying it the whole time.
I don't care for the law of physics. I don't like it.
Anything that weighs a certain amount wants to move. It's hard to move and it's hard to stop because of inertia. And you always run into that with anything of any weight at all. And we had that problem with the underwater ballet sequence in Maisel in Miami, because we're trying to fly a camera underwater and then fly up over the water, look down on the pool, and come back down on the other side of the pool, and discovered that a camera, you balance this 50-foot Technocrane for the weight of the camera, except the moment the camera hits water, it stops being heavy. It becomes buoyant. So they couldn't balance the crane for both underwater and above the water. But essentially, once it hit the water, 2 grips had to take a piece of pipe and shove it underwater and then hold it down like a drowning victim, and then would let go and it would pop out of the water again and fly up in the air. But it was we were just fighting basic Newtonian.
You're welcome.
On our first date, all he did was complain about Newtonian physics.
I did. It's been bugging me for years.
Yeah. We've got to repeal the second law of thermodynamics.
Unacceptable.
She kept saying that.
Well, if you're not following David on Instagram, everyone should be, because your photos are simply stunning. So thank you so much, David, and congrats on the season of Étoile. It's beautiful.